What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. I just got back from work and I'm going to gym, but before going to gym I wanted to kind of shoot a little quick short video. What happened today? Today's Monday, and quick update and regarding co-op internships and university SFU UBC, reputation university for employability. So kind of wanted to talk about that and update in terms of a Microsoft interview. So let's get started with first one, co-op internship, computer science, computer engineering, and Vancouver universities. Let's talk about that. So my team, there's one co-op student for UBC. So first of all, I wanted to kind of tell you these facts that if you don't know about me, I went to SFU, I did co-op internships at Blackberry in Waterloo, Ontario in Canada, and one at Microsoft in Redmond, Seattle, Washington State, the United States. And now I've been working at a company, American and Canadian company for almost about 2 years of full-time experience, including co-op terms. I have at least 2.5 years-ish of full-time experiences. And we have one co-op student from UBC. He's American, and I talked to him, and it was kind of interesting in terms of tuition. As American, he goes to UBC, and he needs to pay international student tuitions, which is like $40,000+ a year. So if you're a local Canadian, then you go to UBC, tuition would be around maybe $5,000, $8,000 a year. But if you're an international student studying at UBC, international tuition fee is gonna be 3, 4, 5 times more expensive than locals. So he's American, so he's considered to be international students in Canada. So he's paying $40,000+ a year, which is what you'll be paying as a Japanese as well, because you're going to be international students as a Japanese at the UBC, which is kind of crazy. So we talked about how expensive it's going to be to go to UBC as an international student. And then he brought up an interesting fact that the reason why he decided to go to UBC is because he thought about going to University of Washington, UW in Seattle, or Stanford, or University of California, UC. But he said UBC would have been cheaper, that's why he chose to go to UBC. So UW, University of Washington, even if he's American, this is where it gets interesting. Even if you're American, you are not going to be able to go to university with a local tuition fee if you are living outside the state. So what does it mean? If you live in let's say California, and then you go to University of Washington in Seattle, then you're gonna be qualified, you're gonna be considered as out-of-state students. What does it mean? So there are two types of tuitions in the United States usually, in-state and out-of-state. In-state considered to be local, so they pay less, whereas out-of-state usually means twice or 3 times or 4 times more expensive than local in-state student. So even if he's American, he would have needed to pay for University of Washington in Seattle, he would have needed to pay $50,000 a year, or $60,000 for UC, University of California, Berkeley or Los Angeles. So it's quite crazy in the United States to get university education. It's been quite talked about how many students end up being on lots of debt when they graduate, and it became a social issue in the United States. But anyways, so in Canada, if you're local, if you're Canadian, even if you go to Ontario, Toronto, University of Toronto, or even if you go to UBC, if you're Canadian, you just need to pay local student fees. Whereas in the United States, if you're outside of state, if you live in different states and you go to university in different state, you need to pay out-of-state tuition fee, which is similar to international student fee, quite expensive. University of Washington is a really great university with tons of great companies around in Seattle, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft. But it's kind of really hard to support to kind of afford $50,000 a year tuition fee. That's crazy. For 4 years to graduate from University of Washington as an out-of-state or international student, you need to pay $200,000, right? Because 1 year 50,000, so 4 years $200,000 plus living expense, living cost. So that's what he kind of talked about, how crazy it is for Americans to go to university. Even if they're American, they need to pay out-of-state tuitions most of the time. And then we're going to talk about co-ops. So he's doing a co-op at the current company that I work at. And I asked him, how strong is co-op at the UBC compared to SFU? And he said, and there's two streams for computer science related department. One is computer engineering and other is computer science. So computer science is more software, whereas computer engineering is more hardware related. So he said they do a little bit more of distributed computing, embedded systems, real-time system, chipset, computer architectures. Like embedded systems, really the hardware stuff. What's computer science? What's computer science? More like software, application development, algorithm, data structure, cloud computing, those stuff. And he said, UBC computer engineering co-op, support is really kind of disaster right now because he said no many advisors. I told him that at SFU, engineering computer science, we had 3 co-op advisors, and we had we were able to get help in resume, cover letter, interview, and then all that info session. So SFU is putting a lot of energy and time, and then resources in people and staff to promote co-op, work and learn experience. So at SFU, I used all that support and help to improve my resume skills, cover letter, and mock interview kind of thing. But computer engineering, he said it's kind of disastrous, not many help, and then not great. And he said computer science at UBC provides better co-op support, in terms of advisors, workshops, and sessions, advising stuff. So that's that, and this is really important things when you think about university, when you're considering which university to go. This is really important, and that's why you need to do research. I know that SFU was pretty strong for co-op experience, co-op education, because I looked up sites and there's co-op website, and then there are co-op advisors dedicated, at least 3 co-op advisors, and then resume service, cover letter service, interview service, and then they're pretty good. Whereas UBC tends to be more theoretical, and they tend to spend a lot of money on research in masters and then PhD. Whereas SFU spends lots of money and resources in undergraduate education. That's the difference. That's the reason why you see UBC as top 40 in university ranking, whereas SFU is at 200 in world rank. But if you look at the SFU and the Canadian undergrad university ranking, SFU sits at the top, whereas UBC in medical and research ranking, there are 2 different rankings in Canada. UBC at the top 5. And the reason why you see UBC at top 40, top 50, and the reason why you shouldn't care about world university ranking is because most of that ranking is based on how great and strong their researches are. So research is something different for undergraduate education, and they spend lots of money for researching, for professors, for conference, for research activity, and the UBC is really strong for research, which is a master's student, graduate student, and a PhD student. And it doesn't really matter if you go to UBC or not for undergraduate, because they're not going to spend much of time and resource to undergraduate student like you. And that's why you shouldn't care much about not care about the top university ranking. And he said, he said like this. He said, half of the professors don't really care about undergraduate students when they're teaching in a lecture. So that's exactly what happens in big university with lots of research funding. Professors' number one job is not to teach undergraduate students in lecture. Their number one job is to produce results in research, publish papers, and then get recognized, and then make university more famous so that more talents and more undergraduate students can come, so that university can collect more money from undergraduate students. That's how education and university business works. University students pay to university, and then universities pay that money to professors and then PhD students as a research assistant, That's how it works, guys. So don't think about university only from the fact of university ranking. That's mostly for research, PhD and masters. That's that about UBC and SFU comparison in terms of co-op and internships. And he also mentioned that he did a previous internship at the previous big companies in Vancouver, and he said he was pretty surprised to see so many SFU students, co-op students from SFU, and he didn't see many UBC co-op students, and he was quite surprised. And it was the same for me when I interned at two companies, big companies in Canada and in the United States. I saw like 10 plus SFU co-op students, whereas I didn't see even 5 UBC students. And that's really good indicator how strong SFU's co-op education is, how famous or well-known, reputable SFU co-op education is. And that's really important if you want to get a job after undergraduate. So, it comes down to that. And some people ask me, I already answered this question, but some people ask me can I go to some university that is not known for that major? So to answer the question, you don't want to go to those universities. So let's think about example SFU and Capilano University. Capilano University is a university in Vancouver, located in North Vancouver. It's a university, North Vancouver, but it's not known for computer science or co-op at all. So even if I worked at 4 companies right now in North America, I have never seen a single software engineer or computer science graduate from Capilano University, even if it's in Vancouver. Not even single one. Same. There was a Quantum University in Vancouver as well. It's cheaper. But I've never seen a single person, student, software developer graduated from Quantum University. Why? It's because they are not strong for computer science. They are more for general arts. So if you're thinking about employability, if you want to get a job after graduating from university in computer science field per se, then it's not a good idea to go to Capilano University or Quantum University, right? It makes sense because I have never seen and they're not really strong for that. Whereas I saw so many SFU students, SFU grads, my coworkers have been SFU students or University of Victoria or UBC students. Current company, my manager graduated from UBC back more than 10 years ago. My coworkers also graduated from SFU as well. So SFU and the UBC are really, really great companies. And you can get top Canadian companies jobs if you graduate from either UBC or SFU. It doesn't really matter whether you go to UBC or SFU. So you can definitely get a job at the top Canadian company. That's incorrect to say that because they're not Canadian company. They're American or international company, but their branches happen to be in just Vancouver. So that's that. So, and if you get a job at top international companies in Vancouver office, then it's not any harder than getting a job at top international companies like other companies as you build your own career. So that's that, guys. So co-op education wise, SFU puts more energy and resource into it, and many more SFU students, co-op students, are probably working at many of the top Canadian, American, or international companies in Vancouver, Toronto, Waterloo. No question about that. It's pretty good. No matter where you go among UT, UW, UBC, SFU, you're gonna get this, quite a good amount of opportunities there. Whereas, if I were to choose number one engineering university in Canada, I would pick University of Waterloo because it's mandatory for University of Waterloo students, engineering students, to complete 5 co-op terms before graduating. So that gets you really good job after graduating from university. So UW is second to none in the world in terms of engineering and working around co-op kind of experience education. So I would highly recommend that if you really want to get a job, good job, and increase your skill. And if you have TOEFL 100 and you have money to pay, and they don't really accept transfer students. So if you want to go to University of Waterloo, you need to get in from the first year. Whereas SFE and UBC, they accept transfer students. So it's hurdle. The first obstacle, like in the first obstacle or hurdle is pretty low compared to University of Waterloo. That's it, guys. Last one, I did an interview last Friday, right? At Microsoft. So it's too early to get results from Microsoft. They said 5 to 10 business days. At this point, after spending one weekend, I was pretty convinced that I got that job from Microsoft. But as time goes on, more worries and concerns and anxiety come up to my mind. And so I started doubting a little bit in terms of percentage. Let's say like I was like 80%, 90% convinced that I get a job. But right now, it dropped to like 65 to 70%. And that's okay, right? I did my best, and I think I did my own best. But if I didn't get a chance, probably that's maybe because I applied for the job that required more skills and experience. Not necessarily I didn't perform well. It's more of, my skill set wasn't quite fit to what they were looking for. In that case, it's not like I was rejected. It was like more of like, they're looking for more senior people. In that case, I don't need to worry about it, So that's that. What else? So yeah, if I have a kid, if I have a kid, my child, and if I think about education, university tuition, I don't want to be American because it's going to be hard for my child to pay out of state $40,000 to $50,000 a year for really good university like UW. If I'm Washington State resident, then I can pay. My child can pay for in-state tuition, which could be still like $20,000 a year, but it's gonna be much cheaper if I'm a Canadian. My child is Canadian, and my child goes to University of Toronto or University of Waterloo or UBC or SFU, because it's gonna be less than $10,000 a year if my child's Canadian. So that's what I would do to my child to make my child's life easier. It's not the same for you to be American, for my child to be American or Canadian. It's gonna make a huge difference in education cost. And then that's that. Co-op is really great. Co-op is one of the best ways to guarantee or increase the chance of getting a job after graduating. And I would say, just because you go to, even if I'm recommending co-ops in UBC, SFU, UT, and the University of Waterloo, it doesn't mean that you can get a job right after finishing computer science. That's far from the truth. The reason why, because I would say only top 20% of 20-30% of students, 20-30% of computer science students even attempt to do co-ops. What that means, most of computer science students don't even do co-op or internships, because even if at the top university, they are motivated, aspiring students, and there are demotivated, low-hanging fruit students in every school. Even if you go to UBC, SFE, UT, there's really great student and the students who are failing at the bottom as well. And just because you went to the University of Toronto or UBC doesn't mean everybody in computer science major can get a job. Definitely not true. You need to still survive. You need to still compete with the other candidates and the students to get a co-op job. So co-op interview process is same as just full-time. You need to go through the interview process. You need to perform well in the coding interview, knowledge question interview, knowledge-based interview. You need to do your own, you need to put your own effort to increase your chance of getting a co-op placement. So only top 20, 30% of students can get a co-op jobs, and to do that you need to increase the GPA, you need to increase your project experience, you need to take initiative in project-based courses to be a more of a lead programmer as opposed to non-program related role like documentation or designer or project manager if you want to get co-op job as a software developer. So you need to take initiative to do more programming experience to get a co-op job. That's what I did. So that's it, guys. Don't think just because you go to UBC, UTSFU, you get co-op jobs. No, it's not true. Only top students can get co-op jobs because there are only so many co-op jobs available. And to do that, you need to thrive and then survive. And if you study hard, work hard for that, then there's more opportunities for you. So there's no nothing in this world is given to you. You need to work at it. You need to work for it. You need to work for it to earn those stuff. It's not like Japan, right? So you need to work for it. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.